knowing that how I think about these things, you'll probably definitely enjoy listening to the question and perhaps answering it. But we'll get to that. But recently, past 4 weeks, I think 4 or 5 weeks have been really eventful. And then before that, it was
Indeed.
a lot of stagnancy. Even though a debate ho chuki thi, even though rallies chal rahi thi, Joe Biden.
Yeah.
the
All of a
incumbent.
sudden, it was almost like a Pakistani election.
Yeah. All of a sudden, it kind of like turned on its head, and then
Yeah.
and then
We had an
Trump was
assassination
shot.
attempt.
Yeah, but
We
then
had a COVID
don't
scare.
you realize that Trump ki is assassination attempt hai? I think all of us. I don't know about you. I don't know if we talked about this, but मैंने जैसे भी बात करी थी ना assassination attempt के बारे में. अव्वल तो 7 मुहर्रम को हुई थी, तो एक significance क्योंकि I remember 7 मुहर्रम का दिन था, and I was having lunch with Dr. Salman Turabi. उसी वक्त खबर आई, and I thought, what the hell? Like ये तो like I've never like होता है ना कि error 404 आ गया कि यार ये US politics में ये क्या हो रहा है? What's happening?
Yeah.
तो मुझे like it reminded me of 2007
Yes.
December
BB.
27th. बीबी वाली.
Yes.
जब मैं बाहर था, I was like मैं अपनी क्लास लेके वापस आ रहा था, and I heard about this. I'm like, okay, और उस वक्त तक तो हम आदी हो चुके थे इस तरह के वायलेंस के. But anyway, यहाँ जब ये चीज हो रही थी, तो I'm really surprised. Okay, fast forward from that on, मैंने अपने भाइयों से बात करी, बहुत से लोगों से बात करी. 49 states loading. Like, come on, like it's done.
Yes.
Everything's done.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
let's just don't waste our time here. This guy's gonna win. The whole imagery जो उसके साथ हुई थी, वो picture निकली and all of that, no
Yeah.
flag.
Well, he was the Republican Jesus.
He was like I think, I mean, even Jesus couldn't beat him if he stood an election against him.
Yeah,
Right now,
exactly.
honestly. Their Jesus, not our Jesus. But तो वो देख के मुझे लगा, मैंने कहा कि यार, this is it. Like, it's over now, because एक तो sympathy vote and all of that. Lekin maybe that was just the South Asian thinking inside of me that kind of like prompted me.
No, I think it was pretty obvious. Even now, I mean, Trump is most likely going to win.
He is, but I mean, have you noticed ever since
the other bombshell,
the ticket changed, right? The ticket changed.
Yes, that was the other bombshell that we had.
That
right?
the other,
like you said,
exactly.
It went from it's like you said, like a roller coaster. Slowly you're stagnating up, nothing's happening, and all of a sudden, you just it's like being on Magic Mountain all of a sudden.
Absolutely.
You don't even realize it. Okay, so you have an assassination attempt. Now you have the incumbent who everybody's been saying, dude, get out. All of a sudden he gets COVID and he's dropping out.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, and then you get Kamala Harris, and so no, it's really interesting.
And Kamala Harris, honestly, I don't know if that's gonna have an impact, because she's not like the most popular figure even in Democrats. So आप imagine कर सकते हैं कि like Republicans में तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं होगी उसकी popularity. But which is why I'm like surprised कि दो whammies हुए हैं, right? One is the assassination attempt, the other is the change of the ticket, and both of them on paper should be heavily favoring Republicans, but they aren't.
It should
right now.
They're not, because
right now it's a neck and neck race. I mean, if you look at the polls right now, if anything, some polls are even suggesting Kamala is ahead.
They are. But if I was a Democrat, which I am, I would not hold my breath. I would still be very careful.
Yeah. But what do you think happened? Like, what do you think? What did the Democrats do something, or was that like an unforced error on the Republicans' part with the JD Vance announcement? Because
I think
honestly,
JD
that
Vance
hasn't gone really well too.
So I think that's actually what has helped the DNC, right? That they got a guy who's more insane than Trump, right?
Weird, not just insane.
Yeah,
just weird.
It's like it's we're sitting in a time where Trump is the equalizer in this situation. He's the one balancing out the crazy. Where last time around, and even previously before that, you had people like what's his name, Mike Pence, and what was his name?
Yeah, that's true.
All these other guys, John Kasich, who were trying to be the adults in the room, and now all of a sudden Trump's the adult in the room. In fact, I mean, I've even heard that Trump himself is trying to distance himself from JD Vance because of how insane he is.
Literally hired him. Like, he just literally hired him. I mean, is it precedented? I know the whole president thing was like unprecedented almost, or precedented. Like, एक example था तुमने मुझे बताया था, मैं briefly से बात हुई थी.
But क्या VP का ticket change होना, is that precedented? Like if someone changes their
I
mind
mean,
on the VP and said, you
it
know
can.
what, never mind.
I mean, it can happen. From what I have seen,
Has it happened in the
yeah. I mean,
past?
yeah, but not
VP
this
change.
late in the race, not this late in the game. But it has happened where in FDR when he ran, all
Mhm.
four times he ran with different running mates. Okay.
Yeah, but he chose one, but then he stuck with that person and then, won
Yeah,
the election. I'm just
yeah.
talking ke some from somewhere where they chose someone and then before the election they changed it to someone else. ऐसा कुछ हुआ है?
Yeah, I don't think
VP,
that's
VP,
happened. I don't
right?
think
That
that's
would be
happened.
interesting
Yeah,
if that happened.
it would be. It would be.
I
But
mean,
at the same
at this point, I mean, if
time,
if Democrats are willing to, have the balls to change the upper head of the ticket, I mean, if push comes to shove, I mean,
but that's the thing. I think the hubris uh, on the GOP side, on the Republican side, is that they think Donald Trump is unstoppable, right?
yeah, they
That
think that
with
the
or
upper
without
half
JD
of the ticket
Vance,
is where, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So because and I think more now on the Republican side than it like in 2020, if you recall, this was the big debate, right? That okay, you have a guy who's, two of the oldest men running for office, and it's quite possible that they might not make it to the end of the term. Now
yeah.
you have, like okay, not only you have on the Republican side the oldest guy running, if he gets elected, he'll be in his late 80s or mid 80s. If he
Yeah,
doesn't finish the term, is JD Vance the guy you want, in
as the
charge of the
incumbent.
nuclear?
Yeah,
And
I don't know.
as we know, there's a genocide going on in the Middle East, and the guy perpetuating that genocide is really banking on Trump winning. So the whole world
अच्छा
is
अब ये
right now. Yeah.
इस पे बात करते हैं हम ये बड़ा एक इंटरेस्टिंग
Mm,
टॉपिक है ये आजकल ना बिकॉज
mm, mm,
इसमें मेरा एक फेवरेट जो मेरा एक जो होता है ना कि जिसमें मोरल डिलेमा आ जाता है इसमें ना
mm,
इस चीजों इस पे बेतहाशा बहस चल रही है लाइक इवन विद इन
mm,
डेमोक्रेट्स मुस्लिम्स people with like good faith arguments like
mm,
good faith लोग जिनको मैं समझता हूँ कि good faith पे वो बात कर रहे हैं ये डिबेट्स मैंने सुनी है उनका पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू सुनने की कोशिश करी है so
mm,
where do you stand on this obviously when Joe Biden was running this whole idea of like a जो undecided vote था वो बढ़ता जा रहा था right
mm,
specifically in Michigan
mm,
or undecided is going to hurt the Democrats and confirm a Trump presidency return and Trump is even worse on this issue than the Democrats. If not even like he's not even mincing his words. He's like,
mm,
yeah, I mean, even अगर जरा सा अगर थोड़ा हल्का हाथ देता है ना इसराइल के ऊपर उधर से बोलना
mm,
शुरू कर देता है कि भाई ये तो फलस्तीनी है या he's like a sympathizer. You've heard him,
mm, mm,
do that
mm,
to Kamala Harris of all people who is by
mm,
no means, no stretch of imagination, a pro-Palestinian person. ठीक है
mm,
लेकिन उसको वो बोल रहा है कि pro. तो
no,
you have someone like him who is like going to
mm,
be एक होता है 19% chances है कि यार शायद 1% chance हो कि maybe this person has a change of heart or maybe this
mm,
person can come through for us. Trump में that 1% does not even exist. Like
mm,
nominal होगा बहुत nominal होगा वो हुआ भी तो.
mm,
So in that regards, where do you stand on that? Where, assuming it's a binary decision. Obviously, there's like Jill Stein and there's Dr. Cornel West also standing, and
mm,
then JFK and whatever.
mm,
So where do you stand on that? Like because you are the one who's going, you're going to vote. You're actually going to vote. So your decision is actually going to be,
mm, mm,
is going to matter. So
mm.
इस वाले dilemma में where do you stand? Do you see it like the Democrats who are almost like screaming and saying, you know what, don't mess this up for us right now. Idhar udhar mat jao, let's just win this race and then we'll see it, for Palestine later. Or you are with the not undecided or the people who are turning up the heat. As you know, a few days ago, Kamala ki
Mhm,
rally ke andar, there was some
mhm,
hue and cry
mhm,
about this, protest about this. And even
mhm,
she said, if you want Trump to win, keep saying this, which is ridiculous,
mhm,
right? But anyway,
mhm,
so where do you stand on this? Like this fear mongering from the left, and then there's also this pressure from the right, from the within the left, which wants the right thing to happen. But
mhm.
obviously, it's not ideal, right?
So here's the thing. The way I would answer this is this. We're going with the assumption that Harris and the DNC establishment is any different than Trump. They're not. We've seen that last 4 years, they have
No.
proven to us Because here's the thing, and I'm going to switch to Urdu and English. When
Uh-huh.
you come with a mandate, right? Abhi agar Trump was in White House, right? And the Democrats were arguing, look, we can't openly say it election season. Let us, come to power. Then you could say yes, that yeah, you're right. Let's, sit and talk. Sure, let's, rally the troops. Let's win this election. Then
Right.
we'll discuss this.
And then
But
we
the
can,
thing is,
huh?
you have been in power. You are the one sending billions of dollars of aid to Netanyahu. You are the one
Arms.
who arms, military
Yeah.
arms. You are the one who has been vetoing, UN resolution after UN resolution. You had 150 Democrats who welcomed that war criminal in the U.S. Capitol. Okay, so to me,
Yeah.
that's a nonsensical argument. To me,
So
I'm
then
like,
what?
okay, yeah.
So what happens? So
So
if Democrats lose from here and then Trump comes in and then makes it even worse for the Palestinians, as you know,
no, he
he.
doesn't. It doesn't. It's not going to be the. It's to me, it's not going to be the worst. It's going to be
What do you
more
mean?
of the same. It's the
It's
thing
going to be more
is,
of the same, but what they argue is well is saying कि यार कि आपकी फिर जो होता है ना कि ट्रम्प की एक और साइड ये भी है ना कि लोग कह रहे हैं कि भाई he's going to be a threat to democracy. He's not even going to even allow dissent to exist.
what to exist.
Democrats on the dissent basically in the sense कि यार protest हो रही हैं और rallies हो रही हैं, pressure campaigning जो हो रही है, he's not even going to allow
But I
that.
mean, the Democrats have done the exact same thing. They have been sending police to shut down peaceful protesters in college campuses across this country.
Hmm.
It's not the Democrat. The thing is, all the things the Democrats are accusing Trump to do. It's like, bhaijan, aap wahi to kaam aap bhi kar rahe hain. I
Yeah,
mean, it's a cat. आप उसको कह रहे हैं light, dark gray cat. मैं कह रहा हूँ black cat. It's still a dark shaded cat.
right.
It's not,
No, I think that's
And
fair.
so, I mean, at this, we can argue semantics all we want, but there's no point of semantics, right? And here's the thing: Palestine isn't the only issue. Like, so for your listeners, I want to be clear. I am a member of the Democratic Party. Okay, I've been
Hmm.
a state delegate in the 2020 elections, and since last time I voted for the party candidate for the president was back in 2012 when I was 21 years old. When I voted
Hmm.
for Barack Obama for his second term, I did not vote for Hillary Clinton. I did not vote for Joe Biden, and I don't
Hmm.
plan on voting for Kamala Harris. First two times I wrote in my candidate, which was Bernie Sanders from Vermont, and this time around,
Use your candidate.
you can write it in. I wrote in my candidate.
Oh, you just okay. You
Yeah,
wrote it. Wrote his name.
yeah. This time around, and this is something that is very important for those listeners, especially in the U.S. who are citizens, and they are thinking that we have to vote because I know a lot of us we come from Pakistan where we're like we have to vote for somebody, right? No, you don't have to vote. There's
Hmm.
something called the undercutting the vote, where
Hmm.
you have the option of not voting for the president, but let's say your local guy, right? Like your city council member, your
Hmm.
county judge, your state representative, your mayor, your state senator, your House of Representative, all these guys, right? State commissioners. You can still vote for these guys, and they can be Democrats, they can be Green Party, they can be, Republicans. Again, at that point, I would say, especially our Muslim voters and listeners and people of color who are listening, and even actually anybody, I would say, don't vote for a party. Don't vote for a candidate, a political leader. Vote for look at candidates, look at their policies, look at the party, and see which of those things align with your values, right? Because on a national level, there might be things that I just genuinely disagree with the Republican Party, but there might be things locally that I do agree with. For instance, I'm a
Hmm.
homeowner and I'm paying like $800-900 a month in taxes for no reason, and they keep going up and up. And it's not
Yeah.
like I'm getting any benefit out of it. They're not building the roads or anything. So I would support the Republicans on this, right? That hey, we need to lower our taxes because you're not investing those taxes in schools, you're not investing those taxes in infrastructure. Where is this money going? This is going to line the pockets of these, politicians and giving
The
kickbacks
industrial
to
complex.
industrial complex and these corporate welfare state that we've created. So I would be down
Hmm.
for that, right? But at the same time, there's things that I do believe in that are very democratic or even the S word socialist, where I believe
Mhm.
that we should have free lunches for kids. Anybody under the age of
Yeah.
18 should have free lunch. We should be investing in healthcare. We should be investing in Medicare for all. I've been arguing that since at least 2016 that we need to go for Medicare for all. We need to go for
अच्छा यहाँ पर
yeah.
रुको इस चीज पे ना क्योंकि मेरी इस चीज पे बहस होती है लोगों से जो कि आर स्पाइटफुल ट्रम्प सपोर्टर्स अब ये
Mhm.
स्पाइटफul ट्रम्प सपोर्टर्स क्या है who just hate the Democratic Party so much for whatever reason. It's like Modi in India, right?
Yeah.
Where a lot of his support is like true and genuine support जो कि मोदी को बिल्कुल उस पेडेस्टल पे रखते हैं जिस तरह यहाँ पर ट्रम्प को रखते हैं लेकिन a lot of the other the silent majority या silent mid part आप कह दो उसको जो भी they just hated the Congress like with the
Yeah.
with, the bottom of their heart, and they were like, "F them, we're just gonna vote for this alternative guy, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
अगर उसमें थोड़ी बहुत बुराई है, बर्दाश्त
Yeah.
करेंगे, लेकिन not those mofos." See, the third important जो बात होती है वो होती है कि भाई ये बातें तो बहुत अच्छी हैं तुमने बात करी, free lunches and all of that, Medicare for all, लेकिन ये practically दुनिया में exist नहीं करती. और अगर
They
करती
do,
भी है
but
तो
they do. But again, they do. And they're still at no, they are. Go look at the Scandinavian countries. Go look at Europe, European Union. They're doing that there. It's not like this is a myth that we have been sold in America that these things are not possible. It's not happening. Yeah, because Americans
it's not
are not
possible with how it's being described. यानी कि वो नहीं कह रहे कि हो नहीं है दुनिया में कह रहे हैं यार जिस तरह से आप करो ना इस क्वालिटी का नहीं हो सकता
This is why I'm not
तो वो
giving
कहता है
the
लेकिन
example
तुम्हारे
of
पास यूएस के अंदर एटलीस्ट यू पेइंग वो तो कह रहे
Yeah.
वो कहता है कि which is why they think from the outside is saying yeah at least तुम pay if you're paying high but you're getting immediate healthcare as you need it then
So
and
that's
there
the
you're
thing,
not
right?
waiting like
Joe,
months in advance
English ki, there's a old adage in English, right? Grass is always greener on the other side,
on the other side
right?
yeah
But the thing is, so this is why I didn't give the example of Canada, right? I know Canada has a lot of issues, right?
I think UK में भी
No,
same है नहीं
UK does, but they're a lot better. They're not like this. This is, and the thing, the point I'm trying to make is, fine. I'm not saying you do complete Medicare for all, subsidize. Do something, right? Like right now in America, your Obamacare, right? The Affordable Care Act in 2010 was written by health insurance companies. So that's an extreme, right? Like in America, like I mean, if you go, like there's a lot of Reddit forums where people talk about this. That Americans think that simple things cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you're going to go bankrupt in medical bills. And then these people are like, "Oh no, that's not a thing." And this is not in Canada. We're talking about Europe, like continental Europe. We're talking about UK
right
in Australia. For instance, this example I like to give, I had a professor for international economics at Texas State University, Professor Andrew Ajeti. Shout out to him, great guy. He did a lot of research in University of Western Australia, and one of the things he told me is, in Australia, when you lose your job, right, they assign a caseworker for you who sits with you and helps you. Not only you don't just give you money like in US, they just give you money
yeah
and you're on your own. Over there, the
right
caseworker works with you. They help you update your resume. They help you find a job placement. They help you if you don't have the skill sets. Let's say you were in the manufacturing industry and you lost your job. They help you get the skill sets to pivot out of that and get into a different field. And they keep following up with you every 2-3 months to make sure that you are on your feet. We're not doing that here.
right
That's part of the problem, right? And in the US, like all the thing that Trump did, and I'll be the first to admit it, he pointed out all the right issues that were impacting America. For number one, jobs, right? Infrastructure, jobs, industry, the things that are impacting hardworking, everyday, red-blooded Americans, mainstream America, right?
average Joe's car
Average Joes. The issue with Trump is his solutions. Because they're xenophobic, they're bigoted, they're not well thought out. I mean, here's the thing. He wants
they're
to
rumblings that's what it is
they make you feel good without without forcing you to have accountability to better your own life.
right
That's the problem you're running into. For instance, like nobody wants to hear, like for instance, I lost my job. I don't want to hear that, oh, I lost my job because I didn't perform well. I want to hear, oh, it's because, some foreigner came and took my job.
right
It's easier to say that than to say, hey, I need to work harder.
introspect
Yeah. And that's the problem we run into here a lot.
तो इसमें दो चीजें होती हैं कि इसमें क्योंकि मैं इसको काउंटर ऐसे करता हूँ जब कोई बोलता है ना कि यार ये सब चीजें प्रैक्टिकल नहीं है whatever मैं कहता हूँ यार देखो अचीवेबिलिटी प्रैक्टिकलिटी को साइड में रखते हैं पहले हम सिर्फ प्रिंसिपल पे बात करते हैं क्या आप इस प्रिंसिपल पे बिलीव करते हो प्रिंसिपली क्या आप एग्री करते हो उस चीज से कि हेल्थ केयर एक इंसान का
I
राइट है
would go even
ठीक है
step further. I would go a
एजुकेशन
step further.
राइट है
No, I would go a step further. And the more I've been involved with U.S. politics, at least since 2016, if not longer, I've been an active observer, and since my whole time here. I mean, I'm a product.
I mean commentator as well by the
Yeah,
way
commentator. Yeah, I mean, I was 10 years old when 9/11 happened. I was in.
it's in the genes right it's in the
Yeah,
Jaffrey genes
yeah, it is in the
political
Joffrey
commentator
genes. Shout out to Faraz Darwish. So I mean, being politically involved, it's a family thing. It's a family endeavor.
yeah
But I mean, I have been, but I've also been active in U.S. politics, and what I've noticed, the problem is, look, Washington D.C. is too far away. Okay, all of
yeah
that is too abstract. What we need to focus on is not who the president is, because I'm going to be honest with you, and I know a lot of people are not going to be happy hearing this. It doesn't matter who wins on November 5th. Okay,
I
it's going to
agree
be business as usual.
mm-hmm.
I can guarantee you, these are some of the guarantees I can give you. Doesn't matter if Harris comes or if Trump comes,
Sure.
the genocide in Palestine is still going to continue. Okay? We are more likely with Trump to go to war with Iran, slightly less likely with Harris, but the way things are shaping up, we are very much ready for a major global war to break out.
Conflict.
And it's not just Iran, it's also with Russia and Ukraine, South Korea and North Korea, with South China Sea, all of that. We're in a powder keg. I mean, people want to understand what's going on. Go study the world on the eve of Archduke Franz Ferdinand's assassination. Like literally, he was just the crown prince of Austria, which was it was not a huge country. It was a decent sized country, but it wasn't a huge country. But it wasn't like the prime minister of UK or the president of the United States or the Tsar of Russia or something, right? It's Austria-Hungary,
Right.
who was assassinated, and that's what something minor like that by a terrorist group from Sarajevo in former Yugoslavia, and that escalated into World War I, which 20 years later led to World War II, and now the New World Order or the post-World War II order that we've been living in for the last 80 years.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. All these things are going to happen. Look at the economy. The economy is going to still keep collapsing. Okay, there's a market correction happening. Pandemic, still we have problems. The thing that we need to focus on is local. And the thing is
Grassroots,
exactly. And the thing is, it doesn't matter to me about, look, and I know what I'm saying is politically incorrect, and this is why I'm going to say it. It's fine. Okay? I don't care about your gender. I don't care about your,
pronouns,
your pronouns, antinouns, whatever, right? I don't care about your, that you want to save the environment and so you drive a Prius or a Tesla. That's good for you. What I care about is tell me what is impacting you at the end of the day. And I think that's what needs to happen. It's let's go talk to people. Why are they supporting Trump? Don't ask them why they're supporting Trump. Ask them what keeps you up at night. My advice to anyone running in politics, go to your local bar, go to your local library, your coffee shop, your local restaurants, right?
park,
Your local park, go to your church, your mosque, and go talk to the people and ask them, hey, what are the things that are keeping you up at night? What's actually bothering you? Would you want your local person to, what are the things you would want me if I was to be elected and go to, for instance, Austin or go to, in Texas or go to Sacramento in California or Albany or go to Washington, D.C. for that matter? What are the things you want me to talk about? Because here's the thing. Part of the problem is there's too much moneyed interest. Right now, we saw with Rashida Tlaib and with what's her name, Cori Bush, right? They both got primaried out by their challengers who were backed by AIPAC.
Yeah.
AIPAC, for those of your viewers who are not familiar, AIPAC is the largest Zionist lobby in the United States, and they have majority, I don't want to say the figure, but because I don't know on top of my head, but majority on both sides of the aisle financed by AIPAC. Fun fact, one of the people who has been actively boycotting AIPAC has been Bernie Sanders, who is himself Jewish, by the way, and Jill Stein. Jill Stein is not supported by AIPAC. Again, another Jewish individual who's running. So, this is interesting facts, right? But Kamala Harris is sponsored by AIPAC. Joe Biden has a very famous statement, and you can pull it up on YouTube, where he says, "I'm a proud Zionist."
Yeah, biggest Zionist there is. No, I agree. I think understanding the grassroots problems is, again, and then going back to what I was saying before this, is right, problems. So I think we will not have a disagreement where whether it's blue or red or green. Okay, what are the problems? Everyone is going to say some variation of whether the economy, jobs. Some will say social, all of these things, taxes. इसी की वेरिएशन आपको मिलेगी आपको इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इसी की वेरिएशन मिलेगी इससे कोई ज्यादा बढ़ के कोई और थर्ड चीज नहीं आएगी या अगर आप स्ट्रेच कर ले जैसे अभी रिसेंटली पोल हुआ था few months back it was I think the 13th or 14th thing on the top of mind for students was the war, right? So at the end of the day वो खिंच के number top 10 हो जाएगा whatever कि आपकी foreign policy क्या है, but after all of these things I think कोई disagreement exist नहीं करता. The disagreement, as you rightly pointed out, is existing on how to solve them.
Exactly.
अगर public institutions है वो inefficient है दुनिया भर में, अगर मैं आपकी बात कबूल भी कर लूं कि NHS भी inefficient है,
सारी दुनिया inefficient है, nothing is working, everybody's living in a
मैं सिर्फ गवर्नमेंट सिस्टम बात करूं क्योंकि वो कहते हैं ना कि इसका मतलब ये है कि आप नेशनलाइज करना चाह रहे हो ना चीजों को कि एजुकेशन नेशनलाइज कर दो, मतलब कि अगर हार्वर्ड इज रन बाय द गवर्नमेंट. Yeah, MIT.
Which, by the way, it is. They are actually financed by
They get a lot of funds.
Yeah,
they get a lot of funds and rebates and all of that stuff. But
hence the reason a lot of these the protesters who are students and professors, by the way, side interesting tidbit. The reason they're getting arrested is in their clauses. It says you cannot protest the Zionist regime.
There you go.
So right? I mean, the government. You're already doing that as a government.
Yeah, exactly. तो अगर आप ये बोलें कि फॉर एग्जांपल कि ये सब चीजें उनके हाथों में गवर्नमेंट अगर नेशनलाइज होती हैं सब चीजें, तो these things will start losing its integrity, privilege खत्म हो जाएगी, इनका impact खत्म हो जाएगा, Howard will not be Howard anymore.
Give me one second.
Or for example,
you keep talking.
Howard will not be Howard anymore. Howard will not be Howard anymore. MIT won't be MIT anymore. और जो public health institutions हैं, अगर आप कोई major private health institution है, जैसे आप ले लो Stanford Health ले लो for example.
Yeah. MD Anderson.
Kaiser Permanente ले लो for example. Yeah. Right. अगर आप ये सब चीजें उठा के nationalize करोगे तो they will make it worse because the track record is that government ruin things because government don't know how to do. So मैं कहता हूँ okay, see, if for the sake of argument I agree with this assertion, this problem, then my question is how can we solve it then? Because the problem still stays. You cannot throw a question as a response to a question. That's just like debate winning.
Yeah. So what I would say is anyone who genuinely thinks that this is impossible and impractical and has never happened and the government is the most failed system needs to go read this book.
What is this? Can you
Goliath? Yeah. It's called The 100-Year War Between Monopoly Power and Democracy in the United States.
Interesting.
And it's
synopsis
is this. It's written about how during the Great Depression, like we've had, unionization. Like for instance, we talk about the 5-day work week, 8-hour work day, right?
Right.
What if I told you 100 years ago that wasn't a thing? You work 7 days a week. Yeah. You work 12, 15, 16-hour days. Then you had unionized. And nobody's saying that these have to be government agencies, but it needs to be government-sponsored, right? The right to unionize, the right to have, care, like Social Security. That was in 1930s, right after the Great Depression. That's when that came into play. Or equal opportunity bills. EPA was created in the 70s, like, and up until like 1970s and like mid 70s, you were paying like 80%. Like the top 5% were paying 80% taxes, 80 to 90% taxes. That was from 1945 to 1980 and 80s. That's considered the greatest growth period of American capital.
Right, and interestingly, उसको सबसे ज़्यादा own
When they're the ones who destroyed and gutted, like you, if anybody wants, I'm going to be candid. If you want to have a real debate, and I'm not even going to talk about religion, morality, all that. Straight up, you want to go to the root cause of when all this shitstorm started. Excuse my language. Was when Ronald Reagan was elected to the White House, and the deunionization, the deregulation of the market. You need to have market regularization. You had from 1930s till 1999, you had something called the Glass-Steagall, the Sarbanes-Oxley Act and the Glass-Steagall Act, right?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
regulated markets. Right now,
Continues to employ likes of me.
yes, there you go, and they got rid of those stuff, right? You had the moment they did in the early 90s when they got rid of Sarbanes-Oxley and Glass-Steagall, you had the savings and loan bank run. The savings and loans collapsed because speculation. If you're going to deregulate people, like the thing is, I agree, government shouldn't be running industries, but they need to be regulating industry.
Right, and then even when it comes to running, for example, एक यूनिवर्सिटी को अगर चलाना है, अगर फॉर एग्जांपल अभी हार्वर्ड का बोर्ड अगर चला रहा है उसको, और आप कह रहे हो इतना अच्छा चला रहा है क्योंकि वो लोग मेरिट बेस्ड हैं, वो दे लाइक इंटेलेक्चुअल व्हाटएवर, एंड गवर्नमेंट आके उसको एक बेकार कर देगा, बिल्कुल तबाह कर देगा. तो द प्रॉब्लम इज, अगर आप उसको सिंपल मैथ्स देखो, तो प्रॉब्लम इज कि गवर्नमेंट जॉब्स डोंट पे एज मच. यही है ना, ये तो अंडरस्टूड बात है, पूरी दुनिया भर में रियलिटी मशहूर है. And which is why the talent that it attracts is not the brightest talent. Because लोग कहते हैं यार मैं प्राइवेट में जाके जॉब करता हूँ, okay, I'll make more money over there. But that can change if the governments invest their budgets into these things. The problem is they don't want to invest, क्योंकि उनको इन्वेस्ट करना होता है उन चीजों के ऊपर जो कि उनके लिए या उनके रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स के लिए बहुत प्रॉफिटेबल है. वॉर्स है, ठीक है, जैसे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज के ऊपर जो भी चल रहा होता है, फ्लिपिंग चल रही होती है, सब चीजें चल रही होती है एज अ होल. So as long as you come and decide and say, you know what, Harvard can continue to run as it is, MIT can continue to run as it is, but we will create at least a trust or a fund where at least 60-70% of the students that go and study there are supported by us, the government, so that majority of our population can take education from these higher institutions and then can serve the country, and then obviously वो capital generate होता है फिर मुल्क के अंदर, उससे कितना ऊपर जाएगा आपका. So it's all about playing the long game.
Exactly. One thing I do want to point out. Sorry, we talked about private institutes. These universities are run by private institutes, private, right? Well, here's the thing. One of the biggest universities on the planet, right? And I think anybody would be honored to go there. University of California, Berkeley. University of California, LA. University of California, San Diego. University of California, Davis. University of California, Irving, right? University of Texas at Austin.
University of Illinois.
University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, right? University of Michigan. University of Washington, right? Arizona University, right? I'm just naming, on top of my head, right? Florida, University of Florida, okay? These are huge. Georgia Tech, right? These are huge institutions. They're all public universities, meaning they're government backed and funded. I mean,
and they're
on par with.
They're prestigious.
They're very prestigious.
Yeah, they're prestigious.
They're on par with Berkeley, with Stanford, with Harvard, with Princeton, with NYU.
The Ivy Leagues.
The Ivy Leagues. University, So the argument that you cannot have, and I'm not saying make Harvard public. No, let Harvard be Harvard. But don't knock that, it's not true, it's not possible, when it is possible. It is happening. Right. You're cherry picking, right? At this point.
Intention chahiye.
Yeah.
Intention chahiye. Achha, going back to the first thing that we were baat kar rahe the.
Yeah.
Going back to the choice, the indecision ऊपर जो बात हो रही थी, उसका एक एस्पेक्ट था कि जो मेरा जिसमें एक बड़ा strong opinion है, and it's kind of I think you probably would have the same opinion,
Mhm.
is that when the hue and cry was and is happening,
Mhm.
कि भाई ज़्यादा शोर ना मचाओ, you're going to jeopardize the election, whereby a much more fascist regime, quote unquote fascist regime would come in, and they would take advantage of us being dispersed into either voting for Jill Stein, not voting, or voting for Dr. Cornel West, and blah blah blah. मैं कहता हूँ कि भाई, as public representatives, as government, it is your responsibility to protect the future governments and the future
Yes.
generation from being exposed to so-called fascism.
So
What are you
exactly.
doing? No-brainer positions. These are not like brave positions to take in America now. A lot of that due to Bernie Sanders and his movement. कि अब ये brave positions नहीं रही. अब these are normal positions.
Yes.
तो number one तो ये है कि it makes absolute political sense for you to commit to that.
Yeah.
And then it's the government's responsibility to make sure, you know what, it's तो ऐसे ही है कि अब बच्चों अगर तुमने दरवाजा बंद नहीं किया तो बाहर से चोर आ जाएंगे, तो ठीक है, वो तो बच्चों का जिम्मेदारी है, लेकिन आपकी क्या जिम्मेदारी है? बच्चों ने तो भूल जाएगा, बच्चों ने नहीं किया, तो एट द एंड ऑफ द डे बच्चे, you're the adults, supposedly, you're the head of state, you're the government. What are you doing?
Exactly.
You should
And
be saying, you know what, I should be making sure कि मैं जो public का opinion है वो मैं उसको embed करूं अपने politics के अंदर,
Exactly.
and do what they're asking me to do.
And that's exactly what I was going to say, right? Like, so if another way of looking at it is, job employment, right? This is a performance review of the Democratic Party. Okay? You have been, last 4 years, you've been working. Great job. We gave you a job. We gave you the job. You've been working. Right now, your argument is you've done a shitty job, right? You have done a terrible job. You're showing up late, for instance. Your job performance sucks. I'm getting customer complaints, employee complaints, everybody, right? You should be fired. But your response is, if you fire me, the person you're going to hire, the other guy who's looking for this job, is going to be worse than me. That's not your concern. That should not be. If your selling point is, I am not the other guy, I don't care about the other guy. Hey, other guy की बात नहीं हो रही.
You've already lost the argument. Exactly. And then आप क्यों नहीं कर रहे? यानी आप अपने ऊपर onus क्यों नहीं ले रहे? You know what?
Yes. And
we have to be brave.
So let's talk.
Shut down this war.
Yeah, you
shut down
failed
the
to show leadership in the
it's
war.
gonna save it. But आप नहीं कर
Here's the thing.
नहीं कर रहे.
And here's the thing. War is the big thing right now that everybody's talking about, right? So you failed in Palestine. Before that, Trump is inexperienced. He got us into a trade war with China. This was really dumb. We shouldn't be in this trade war with China. Did you end that trade war? No, you continued that trade war. Trump made a naive decision of pulling out all the troops from Afghanistan. Kabul's going to fall. It's going to go to Taliban. Hey, you continued that policy. To be honest,
Iran deal. Number one, आपने बोला था कि Iran deal से उससे back out किया, we will go back.
Where is
Biden said that. That was one of
where is your replacement?
He didn't bring anything. And you've gone worse, by the way. You've put us at the brink of a war.
Yes.
Where even Trump hadn't put us there. Even though he
actually solved the issue with Ukraine. But Ukraine आपका मसला नहीं था. Ukraine escalated because of you.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Putin's a good guy. He's not. Where did you fix the economy? Did you go after these guys who have been speculating? We're in the worst economic crisis in the history, I would say. Nobody wants to talk about it. We're headed for a recession. This is the first time in history. You can fact check me on this, and you can go double check, look it up. That the economy is doing worse under a Democratic president than it has under a Republican president.
Achha, I've heard like mixed news about that, the economy performance and all that. But generally, मेरा problem उसमें है भी, क्योंकि सबसे पहला मेरा उसमें मेरा problem economy को जिस तरह से लोग यहाँ पे study करते हैं और देखते हैं, मेरा उस चीज से ही मेरा basic.
Yeah, I'm not talking about stock exchange. I'm talking about I agree. I absolutely agree. Yeah, I agree. To me, I'm like, let's look at the employment rate. Let's look at your GDP.
Job creation तो सबसे ज़्यादा थी.
Job creation but like what kind of jobs? If I'm hiring a bunch of Uber drivers, that's not job creation. I want to look at, job creation. Show me these jobs that were sustainable, well-paying income jobs that got people where they were not relying on
out of poverty.
Out of poverty, yes. You didn't do that.
And those, that again, exactly. They didn't do that, and they don't look at it that way. By the way,
I know.
Not even Republicans,
yeah.
Not Democrats.
I know.
They look at just this fat figure कि भाई job creation और उसमें वो बंदा 6 jobs भी करोगा ना वो भी
exactly. And you had people do it that were doing.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't make sense. Why are you counting the guy who's like The fact that he's doing 6 jobs or 3 jobs, whatever it is, he should not be in that. Like he should not be in that
Exactly.
count
Exactly.
for
There's something
at
wrong
all
with the
because the
system
point
at
is
that point.
there's something wrong. Exactly. It's not about the job creation कि भाई एक बंदे से आप 6 जॉबें करवा रहे हो तो अब ये job creation हो गई. Multiply by 6 नहीं करे. It's multiply by 0
Yes,
actually.
exactly.
The moment the person has to do the second job, you multiply by 0 because that means you didn't create the job.
Exactly.
You didn't create an ineffective job created is
Not a job.
is not a job
And
created.
then, okay,
Yeah.
job creation is one thing. What about the cost of living?
Yeah,
You
that has
have
gone up.
rates skyrocketing. You live in the Bay Area,
Inflation.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know
Yeah.
the cost of rent. Zaib, can you afford to buy a house in?
Yeah, but yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know people who have been in the Bay Area for decades, right? They're in well-paying positions. They have told me on record, or off the record, actually, they've told me, we cannot buy our same house right now. If you were to ask us to buy this house, we would not be able to afford it. Same thing, Texas, you're having people, you know, I got lucky. My rate was at 3.15%, and I was, kicking myself for 3.15%. Right now, the rates are like we're all celebrating the rates dip below 7%.
Oh yeah, that's the standard now.
You have houses that should not be worth more than 300, 400,000, going into $500,000 plus. Why?
All right.
And it's not like the wages are
Makes
keeping
no
up.
sense. Absolutely, wages aren't.
And again, trade war with China, right? Supply chain. The market is correcting. A lot of us, as Zaib, you know, and I know, that the tech industry, because as you know, during the pandemic, they overbought a bunch of stuff because you don't have standards, because you don't have regulations. Now, then they have a surplus supply. I mean, on products, and they don't know what to do with it, so they have to slow down production. You don't have enough buyers. You have saturated the market. Same thing with the housing. You have so many people building housing. Like if you come to Austin, I mean, I can show you, right, whenever you come and visit, development. I mean, even in the Bay Area, like where Dare Batul is. I remember when that whole area was back in 2012, 2013, when that whole area on Osgood was completely barren land. And then now to see that there's all these shopping centers. Same thing with Cedar Boulevard, past the high school.
Right.
Because I went to Newark Memorial High School,
Right.
Graduated in 2009. I remember from my high school down to where Food Max is, there was nothing. Me and my friends, we used to go, like ride our bikes in that area. And now it's all development. Everything.
Right.
But the thing is, who's affording that? Nobody can afford that. Everybody we know in the Bay is moving. You talk to them, oh yeah, we're moving out of Tracy. Why? Or we're moving out of state because they can't afford it.
Yeah.
One second. So, yeah.
So let's go. Let's start to conclude this. And are you mailing in your ballot or?
I'm gonna vote the week of. I'm gonna be voting there.
Oh, in person,
inshallah. That's the plan.
So, have you seen what the ballot looks like for you?
Not yet.
You know everything.
I mean, I haven't seen it, but I have
propositions.
I have a fairly decent idea.
Propositions, वगैरह को भी लेके, everything. By the sound of it, what you're doing is you're gonna go vote local. Then you're not gonna vote for the party candidate. You necessarily
depends.
You're gonna see
there's a war plus
manifesto is.
Yeah, the war plus a bunch of other things. Right now, I cannot, in good conscience, vote for the Democratic Party candidate or the Republican Party candidates because I'm not.
Yeah.
Again, we talk about morality. We are Muslims, right? And we do have a barometer. That's Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I'm reminded of the beautiful hadith of Amir al-Mu'mineen in the Battle of Jamal when he's asked, you are Amir al-Mu'mineen, she's Ummat al-Mu'mineen. Who do we support? Where Imam says, don't look at the personalities and look at the truth. Look at the truth and then see who fits the truth through the personalities. And with truth as our barometer, we don't need to worry about, any of this SJW stuff. That's not my concern, right? This woke culture, that's not what I'm about. What I'm looking at is, clear-cut issues, genocide, right, is a clear-cut issue. People, homelessness, people, I know that Bay Area has a huge homelessness problem. It has a huge crime rate.
Huge.
Why is that happening? Because you have a democratic government there, right? You should be solving that issue, but you neglected those issues. You have,
Or brush under the carpet.
and that's why I'm
Yeah,
focused
no,
on the
I agree.
grassroots. I'm focused on issues that impact us on a local level, things that you can control, right? For instance, you living in Fremont, California. I think, how old is your daughter? Like, she's like 4, right? Now, almost, mashallah. Yeah.
4.
So she's going to be starting the Fremont Unified School District pretty soon, or Rise Academy. I don't know which one you're going to go with, but you should know who your teachers are, who the teachers of your school are. I would tell the parents, be involved in the PTA.
Yeah.
I would encourage the parents to know who the school board in whichever city you're living in, who the school board is, because those are the people teaching your kids, right? That's who your kid spends
those are the influences, first influences.
40 to 50 hours a week they're spending with this person and these people and their policies, right? And everybody has an agenda. And, knowing, who is on your city council, who the mayor is, who your sheriff is, who your police chief is. Because I personally believe we need to have people elected. Then that's what I'm working on across the country. That's what my next goal is, to get people, including myself, elected to halls of power so we can start representing and have our voice. But if we cannot do that, at the very least, we need to start getting ourselves acclimated and well versed and well acquainted on a first name basis with these people who are in the halls of power, right? Inshallah.
Or all the halls of
influence. Yes, halls of influence, yes, indeed.
But big picture, who do you see winning?
I hate to say it.
If you want to throw someone.
Trump 2024, baby. Unfortunately, Trump is gonna win.
Really?
He's it's the thing is.
You don't think the recent blue kind of like good feeling has done anything to shift that?
Thing is, again, substance. What is the substance? Okay, great. Biden stepped down, you took over, but how are your policies impacting everyday Americans?
Yeah. I feel like that outburst that she did a couple of days ago,
that really hurts.
Those kind of things are going to be, that's exactly. अगर कुछ नहीं सीखती ना बाइडन से, ये सीख लेती कि भाई उसी के वजह से छोड़ना पड़ा उसे. Why are you falling into the same trap?
And the thing is,
all you had to do was be quiet and just take it.
I don't know if you saw my latest Instagram story, and there I had that, where she's like, let me speak right now, right? So to that I responded, let her speak. We'll act by voting.
That's the votes will speak.
And I think that
you don't want that. Don't. But any Democrats को ये समझ में क्यों नहीं आती बात कि जब आप ridicule करोगे अपने voters को, Democrats भी क्या?
Anybody.
Republicans.
Anybody, even Pakistan, mate.
You're going to ridicule the voters. They're gonna, even Pakistan, mate. If you're going to ridicule the voters, they're going to slap back.
They will, and you're going to wonder what happened. Well, this is what happened.
Yeah. Wonder? It's right in there. I mean, learn from Hillary. Hillary made the same horrendous mistakes like a few times, if not just once. All right. Well, it was, as always, great conversation on a very intriguing, interesting, mind-numbing and boggling at the same time topic.
Always is.
With you again, Sarosh. Yeah, absolutely. So we'll get back again, inshallah, to have another conversation about something else. Inshallah, yeah. But really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Enjoy Sao Paulo. I sent you the link. Let me know how that worked out.